Anderson, astronaut. A man barely interesting.
I just picture you sitting on the rail at a strip club eating a Lunchable.
Will Darkins, hot air balloon attendant, frightened by technology.
I love you, but you're saying that this little old man, this dude was a clean 6'6".
We have the capability to build the 33rd best radio show in Portland. On Saturdays, about sports. The Sinner and the Saint will be that show. Better than they were before. Sportsier, funnier, more Labradoodles. The Sinner and the Saint Tailgate Show on 1080 The Fan, the
Odyssey
app, and 1080thefan.com.
Hey! Happy Saturday, residents of Portland, Oregon, and counties surrounding. This is Will Darkins here with you on the Sinner and the Saint on a college football Saturday, a conference championship Saturday. What could be better, Will Ortner?
Nothing. Not even like world peace could make me happier.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. Like Steve Martin has a great bit, or I guess it was an old bit when he was on SNL, where it'd be like, I would wish for world happiness. And then it keeps building to where he'd wish for more and more things that benefit him. And every single year I relate more and more to that. Would you like to say something about me?
You'd be better just to have a college football Saturday than maybe
I'm a simple man, man.
the war in the Middle East ending.
Well, I mean, I would hope
famine ending.
I would hope that it ended, but if you told me like what would
Solution
make
to water
my
scarcity.
life. Yeah, but how many people are truly like, hey, you know what? We're going to take away one thing that you love, but it will be better for the world. How many people are truly looking at that and being like, okay, I will give up my morning coffees. I will never drink coffee again. Coffee will cease to exist until noon if it means world peace. And there's a lot of people that would be like, no, get bent.
Yeah, and I think right there is probably the problem with this country, the core issue.
I think it's the world, dude. I don't think that's a country thing. That's a human thing.
Well, like, I don't know. I'm not going to get, you know what? I'm not going to get political with you on a Saturday because it's a football Saturday, okay?
That's
So
right.
don't drag me into this. Don't drag me
I'm
into.
not dragging you into
don't
deep waters.
drag me into
Not doing
talking
it.
about
Not doing it.
about climate change and how you actually could save the planet if you inflated your tires on a bi-monthly basis because low tire pressure actually emits more CO2 from your gas because your car has to work harder.
I don't know that I actually knew that.
Yeah. Look it up. Don't look it up. Hey,
Glad I learned that.
we are here in the studio on a college football Saturday, on a Ducks college football Saturday, because the Oregon Ducks have finally made it to the Big Ten title game. We've been waiting for years for the Oregon Ducks to make it to the
I
Big Ten
can't believe this
title
is the
game.
first one they've ever made.
This is the first one they've ever gotten to, ever.
You'd
It's
have
been a long
thought.
slog.
You'd have thought with all the success they'd had,
know.
they would have made the Big Ten
I
championship
know.
game
Even-
sooner.
Even the 2 national title appearances, they did not win or appear in a Big Ten title game.
It just means more now.
It just means more. It must have been some scheduling snafu. Now, when I got in here, I turned myself on the. This is what I do in the college football season almost all the time. Is I turn on College Game Day because it's just kind of compulsory at this point. Though, you know what? I've been going to the Big Nooner just because I've
Yeah.
been getting tired of Pat McAfee, but I don't think the Nooner's on today.
No, they were yesterday. I just remember that because they were in Boise.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's good for them. And I turn it on and I see that we got ourselves here Timothy Chalamet guest picking.
I'm pro Chalamet.
And now I am pro Chalamet now. Because when they said that, I thought to myself, well, I don't know if he knows much about college football. And I think that's kind of dumb. And it seems like they're promoting his new Bob Dylan movie, which they probably are.
Yeah.
And I said, well, why don't you just get somebody better on there? But then Chalamet opened his mouth and started saying sports things. And good for him on 2 fronts. First front, he had a manager who was smart enough to go, you're going to be on a what? Okay, let me just get some facts on a sheet for you real quick. Just make sure when you go up to that podium, here's the facts. I put them in color coordinated. When
You
it
got
comes around to
something.
you for the picks, just read these. That's all you got to do. And he did it really well. He's an actor. And he also seemed like he genuinely liked sports because you and I did research. We read one article that
I
said
read Wikipedia. There were 4 sentences.
he's a Mets fan. He grew up in New York.
Yeah.
So he's a Mets and Knicks fan. So I give a little bit of okay on
He's
that.
a big like French soccer guy too.
Yeah.
There's a French soccer team in there as well.
Oh, okay. French soccer, huh?
Yeah, I'm feverishly Googling.
And then you said, which I thought was a good kind of discussion point, was you feel like he is kind of your generation's Bieber, or
Well,
possibly Zac Efron.
See, I think Bieber and Zach. I was saying he's like them in my generation, but again, I would also say that Bieber and Efron are my generation as well. Like,
Oh no, you don't touch Bieber.
no,
Bieber's my generation.
no.
Bieber, you.
Because I'm
How
Bieber.
old were you when he got the Dewey?
Oh, I would have been in high school.
Okay.
He hits the scene when I'm a 7th grader. He shows up on True Jackson VP and CSI right around when I'm a 7th and 8th grader. He's my generation for sure. Cuz he's also probably only a year or two older than me.
Is he really?
Yeah,
How
like
old do you think he is?
he's still in his 20s. I don't think he's to 30 yet.
You sure about that?
He's somewhere
You wanna try
between
again?
27 and 29.
You sure about that, Stone White?
How old is he?
He's 30.
Oh, well, that's my we would have been in high school together. That's my generation. That's mine right there. I mean, he's technically a millennial, but
Yeah.
and I'm technically not, but he's mine.
Well, who's mine then? Who's my
Wasn't it like
who-
Kelly Kapowski and all them?
Who's my douchebag teenage celebrity
Mario
who ruined his life?
Lopez. That's
No!
your guy. Yes.
We don't
That is-
have Mario.
You get
And
Mario
didn't
Lopez.
ruin his life. Mario Lopez has
and
one of
you-
the best lives after
It's
teenage
the
stardom
stupidest
ever.
life ever because but here's why it's stupid. He doesn't do anything. And I get it. Like, that's awesome. He's just famous.
Yeah.
What do you know Mario Lopez for other than just being Mario Lopez?
Say
I
about
don't know any. Yeah, I didn't watch that show. I don't know.
See?
Like,
But he didn't have a downfall. That was the thing. Mario Lopez was very savvy about his Saved by the Bell exit, in which he just kind of like inserted himself in ways into popular culture that reminded you that, in fact, Mario Lopez is still around, but you don't have to see a lot of him. And it's a genius maneuver called being the host of shows.
oh yeah, because you get paid and you probably only work like 3 months out of the year.
That's right. And you don't get oversaturated in the
Yep.
media market. You are just the host, so people are aware that you are, in fact, there.
You
But-
exist.
You know, I don't have to pay attention to you too much. Case in point, have you ever heard of the show Extra?
Yeah,
Extra.
he's on there,
Extra.
isn't he? Isn't that his stupid show that he does?
Okay, now, you are partly correct. He was on there, right? And Extra is a show that is basically just like the network news. For anybody that doesn't know, it's like the network news entertainment 30-minute show they do usually after World News Tonight. Every network show has it. But Extra kind of cycles through hosts. Who's the host of Extra right now? Do you know?
No, dude, I don't even watch TV, man.
It's okay. You shouldn't know. But it's interesting.
I would assume it's Mario Lopez.
It's not Mario Lopez.
If you would have asked, if you asked any of those, ET Tonight or whatever,
Mhm.
any of that, I'd just be like Mario Lopez.
It's
He hosts
Billy
one.
Bush. Does that name ring a bell for you?
For one specific reason.
Is it the Access Hollywood tape?
The grabbing people, yeah. That's that because I know that he was the one who asked the question.
You noticed how he became the host of a show, right?
And now people don't
It's
really care.
Billy Bush. It's fine.
Whatever.
Yeah,
Is
I
he
know him
related
from
to
that
George?
tape, but he's the host of a show, so I don't have to think about it too much. But when I see him on screen, I go, it's Billy Bush.
It's like I'm aware of this guy.
Yeah.
So
You're
by
aware, yeah.
Your theory, you want people to be aware of you,
Mhm.
but not too aware.
That's correct. And I think that you can
don't
best
hate
do
that.
that through being the host of shows.
This is a good point on the Vancouver Ford text line from Deal.
Mhm.
Mario Lopez gets all the jobs Ryan Seacrest turns down. That's so fair. Also, the fact that Ryan Seacrest is famous is kind of hilarious.
You know, Ryan Seacrest is actually
What does he like? What is he good at? What is his major talent?
Okay, I'll blow your mind for you. Ryan Seacrest is actually a majority stakeholder in the E Entertainment Network.
Yes, but
And
how did he get to that?
He
How did he get to
executive
that
produced and was one of the creators of the Kardashians.
Now, I did know that.
Yeah.
And I knew these things. But again, how did he get to that point? Because he hosted American Idol and
right.
was like on Z100 or something.
Yeah, you get that foot in there. You got to get that foot in there.
And he, like, look, I'm not like bashing on him. He had that stupid ABC morning show or whatever, where it was him and like Kelly Ripa or whatever her name is.
Mm.
The lady who used to do it with Regis before Regis retired. Now she just does it with her husband, which that would suck.
Well,
by the way.
apparently she and Strahan hated each other.
Strahan was on there?
Yeah, it was Kelly and Michael.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And they had Michael Strahan on there with his big old gap.
It is funny
chuckling and
that he's like the Good Morning America guy.
I know, it's great because if you go back and listen to his interviews, he was a complete a-hole.
Yeah.
Because
then
I
it's
mean, he
just-
was a really good football player and he was a defensive end. Like,
yeah.
I wouldn't expect a lot more than that, but he definitely flipped a 180 and was like, all right, I got to be on national television. I guess I'll be nice.
He's like, I'm going to be an awesome dude. I feel like they're all kind of insufferable. Also, it's weird that I can't imagine doing a job every single day with my significant other.
Yeah.
Be
Kelly
like
Ripa.
waking up in the morning next to them, going and getting ready for the day, and then being like, should we carpool? You want to go to work together?
I think the money helps.
When do you ever get time apart?
Oh, I think they spend a lot of time apart.
You think they're in different parts of the house?
Well, let's see how old their kids are.
Like one lives on the west wing, the other one lives on the east wing.
Okay, she's got 3 kids and they're all adults. So
She
yes.
has 3 adult kids?
Yeah.
She's not that old, is she?
Kelly Ripa's old, man.
He doesn't
Kelly
look
Ripa's
that
been
old.
around a lot longer than you think.
He does. Neither one of them look that old.
My man, she's 54.
Oh my God. 54 looks good.
So she's got adult kids with this guy, Mark Consuelos, and they host this show together. I'm going to bet they do this show, and then when they get home in their, their 3-story apartment in New York,
Yeah.
I'm going to guess they're on different floors the entire time.
They're
'Cause
just
you make a good point.
No.
If I got to be around my significant other hosting a show constantly, yeah, when I get back, I got to get the floor to myself.
54.
Give me the basement.
Yeah, that wouldn't go well. Like,
I
look,
want
I'm
the
all for.
basement.
Hold on. You said adult children.
Yeah, they look adult to me.
2 of these are not really like
There's Joaquin. I
her
guess he just
oldest.
graduated.
Her oldest kid is my age.
Okay.
Her middle kid is my brother's age.
Mm-hmm.
So 24.
Yeah.
And the other one's like 22.
Yeah, they're all out of the house.
Like just
you think these kids
just
are at the
recently.
house?
Just recent. Well, they might have come back.
Yeah, right. Ripa's probably
A
paying
lot of
for
them
the
come
pad.
back. A
Ripa's
lot of
paying
them
for their
come
pad
back.
wherever they want to go.
It's so true.
So.
Her one daughter's got some songs apparently.
Oh yeah.
She's alternative R&B. She's
that?
23. So then that means the other one's 21.
Holy moly! Whoa. Oh. Hello.
What
Okay.
are you looking at?
Her daughter. Am I the only one looking at this?
They don't have a picture on her.
Oh,
whatever
why?
you call it.
Pull that up.
You know what the worst part is? They met on a show together.
Oh, that's great.
They met on All My Children together.
She lived as she died, or she died as she lived on TV.
That's unbelievable.
Oh man. All right. There's so you know what? You did a really great job with the frivolous celebrity talk because Luke doesn't want to dive into it a lot. What Luke will
He's
do?
above it.
Well, he's kind of like above it, but then like he thinks that like 1980s culture was so great that he has to insert that into whatever like current pop culture I talk about.
Got a little Sukian in him, huh?
Yeah. It's like, look, that decade was fine. It was okay. It's good movies. Look, It's the Big Ten title game today. And I got to tell you, you and I did this show last week, and we all but declared what the matchup would be, and we were wrong. We were poop brown wrong about that.
We were very wrong. We should have
So
known by
wrong.
the time we were leaving.
Yes, because it wasn't looking very good for Ohio State. They didn't seem to be really taking the game over against Michigan, even by the time we were leaving the studio. And I just thought to myself the whole time, like, they'll get there. It's
Right.
fine. They'll get,
It's okay.
it'll happen.
They'll get there.
It wasn't okay. And now we get this matchup that for Oregon, kind of in two respects, is you're okay either way, but also, if you lose this game, then it's kind of concerning. And we'll talk about that next year on the Sinner and the Saint. It's a Will Squared edition right here on 1080 The Fan.
I'm Leif, owner of Leif's Auto Collision Centers.
on 1080 The Fan.
Got the old ABC up there on the TV. Arizona State off to a 3-0 lead on Iowa State right now in the Big 12 title game. That's the Dr. Pepper Big 12 title game.
Do you think Diet Dr. Pepper
That's the
sponsors any of them?
Oh, I'm
Like
sure.
they sponsor the Conference USA.
Yeah.
Like, sorry, you guys only get Diet.
I noticed that Walmart sponsors Arkansas's field, which makes sense.
Hey, Albertson sponsors Boise State's field.
Oh, they do? Oh, right. They're from Idaho. Forgot that.
I actually
Or they're
did not
bought by
know that they were
Safeway.
from Idaho.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't know that was the deal behind it. I just
Yeah.
thought like they were blue.
Oh, yeah.
The
If
turf
only it
is
worked
blue.
that way, right?
Yeah, like
Your brand has the same color as ours.
Like,
Let's make a deal.
Winco should really sponsor the red turf or Safeway or
Um,
the Fan.
the Oregon Ducks are going to play today in the Big Ten title game, as we broke the news in the first segment, the fact that this is the first Big Ten title game the Ducks have ever gotten to. And we're being facetious to the point that it's incredible that it's never happened before. Well, this is their first time in the Big Ten Conference after the realignment that happened last season. Now, I'm going to start this segment off by just, it's official now that I can say I was just really wrong and that I should say sorry because I'm an idiot. I predicted at the beginning of the season the Oregon Ducks would lose 3 games.
Really? Why?
I basically thought that the fact that they were going so heavy into NIL and the fact that they had relied so much on a certain style of play that fit to a conference that outside of it struggled at times, that it would be a bit of a shock to the system to them. Now, I wasn't going to go as far as to be like, oh, they're going to win 7 games and that's it. But it was like, I don't know. There's some games in there that I can see that I say, I don't know about that. And I thought Ohio State they would lose. They almost did. I was thinking, Boise State, I definitely thought they were going to lose at a certain point.
Yeah. Save for 2 special teams touchdowns, you do lose that game.
Yeah. So I think that there was a part of me that just kind of felt like there would be an adjustment period, but there wasn't, because of the fact that Dan Lanning has put together an offensive system and a culture around that team that is for real. It's not a culture that has holes in it like Mario Cristobal's did, which was all bro and no strategy. It wasn't a culture like Mark Helfrich's, which was just Chip Kelly Part 2.
Chip Kelly, but worse.
Chip Kelly, but worse. It wasn't what's his face, Willie Taggart, which I don't even know what that was. But and
Snake
it wasn't
oil salesman.
Yeah, and it wasn't Chip Kelly, which was don't talk to me about recruiting. I just want to do football, and I don't really care. Just go get the kids, pay them whatever, and then I'm going to pay this recruiter. But the other part of this is that this game has a really weird twist to it that I don't think a lot of people are thinking about right now. And it's the twist that if Penn State wins, they'll be the number 1 team in the country.
I don't know that that's true.
I do, because they're number 3 right now. And if Texas wins, I don't know if you can match up those two together and not say, well, Penn State just beat Oregon, the number 1 team in the country. Now, if Texas loses, that's the case.
Yes,
Penn
I
State's
agree.
number 1 in the country.
I agree.
And that'll be one of the most egregious number 1 rankings ever.
100%.
Because we've all watched Penn State this season, and they don't look great. They're a good team. They've beaten one ranked opponent, who's Illinois, who I believe now is 22 or 3 or something.
Yeah, they're barely in. It's a good
Yeah.
Illinois team. They're a tier 2 team. There's tier 1,
Mhm.
which I think this year there's about 4, maybe 5 teams in.
Mhm.
I think the difference is this year is depending on matchups, that tier 2 team, if they get the right matchups in the run, your Penn States, your Notre Dames, I'd probably throw Tennessee in here as well, where if everything lines up perfectly and you play your perfect game, you could win a title just because there isn't truly that one team that is, like the Alabamas of old or like a 2019 LSU. Like
Yeah.
no one was going to beat them. It didn't matter who you threw out in front of them. And then there are some years where they have more parity. And it does kind of feel like with the transfer portal, that's going to be the conferences and the teams there's going to be more parity because people don't and kids don't want to wait as long.
Yeah.
Like, why would I go and sit for 3 years when I can go play right now?
Mhm.
And I can go make the same money there as I did here because NIL is now out in the open and everyone can figure out what I need to do. For me, when I look at this Oregon team, and the reason why, and maybe I'm drinking the Kool-Aid a little bit too much and why I would have pushed back at the beginning of the year, is that you are correct. There are a lot of teams, Florida State, who have gone out and just grabbed a bunch of guys in the portal.
Mhm.
And it hasn't been based on substance. It's been based on what is your star ranking or what kind of athletic freak are you? I don't need to see your film.
Yeah.
Where I think what Lanning has done a good job of is meshing that Midwest and also that SEC type of toughness that you need on the defensive line front and meshing it with an understanding of if I want to build a quality O-line, I have to do it with mostly high schoolers
Mhm.
and have them build up in my system. And you can grab a transfer or two, but you can't build an entire O-line on transfers. And when you mesh those two together, you now are going to win more of your battles in the trenches than you lose if you lose any at all. When you are a quarterback like Dylan Gabriel, or you're a wide receiver like Evan Stewart, and you're in the portal and you see that they already have this great defensive front and you have this great offensive line group, well, then they were able to recruit a couple kids out of high school that are pretty good athletes. Now I'm going to want to go and join them because I don't have to worry about getting hit. I don't have to worry about my quarterback getting hit. And I can just focus on doing my job, which will be easier because other people do their job to the umpth degree.
Yeah.
Like Evan Stewart was at Texas A&M. He's a part of that recruiting class where Jimbo brought in the number one class and everyone was a 5-star. They're all gone because half of those guys shouldn't have been 5 stars anyways. And the ones like Evan Stewart, who were pretty darn good, realized this is built flimsy. It's like the end of Jenga. We have this tower here, but the bottom, it's susceptible to fall out at any moment.
Well, and I think too, what's most interesting about Oregon's season, coming to a close here. I mean, it's the regular season, I should say, because we got the playoff coming up. But I think what's interesting about the Oregon season coming to a close is that I couldn't have, and I don't think a lot of people could have predicted that Oregon would be the kind of consistent front runner in all this. I mean, obviously they haven't moved much from the top 5 because, well, they're undefeated. But
Right.
we've had so many teams move up and down the top 25 charts in the college football playoff rankings, and Oregon has remained at 1 this entire time because they've had consistent play. Obviously, it's because they've won every single one of their games. You know, that's part of it. But the fact that, Oregon is the team that looks like the steady stalwart, I don't know if a lot of people could have predicted that. I don't know if a lot of people could have predicted Georgia possibly losing 3 games.
Fair. Especially after the first 2 games for the Ducks, too, though.
Yeah.
With how that O-line, I was seriously worried.
I mean, Bama losing 2 games, that was a little bit on my radar because it's like, well, you just lost Nick Saban, so that's going to be different. Michigan being so terrible was kind of interesting. And I really didn't have the idea that Ryan Day might get fired.
Crying Ryan. I don't think they fire him.
If he loses their first playoff game, he's gone.
So
He's out.
I was with you on that 100% in because I think all of Ohio State, specifically the fans, hate him. The problem is you just had the early signing period ended yesterday. The transfer portal opens on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
If he goes out there and he struggles and you fire him, or there's any rumors of you firing him, those kids who just committed, they're now free game. The transfer portal kids, they're now free game. And the rest of the 5 stars that you have on your roster, they also all become free game. So if you're Ohio State, you are going, and you fire Ryan Day, you are pretty much saying, hey, we're going to be okay taking a step back next year.
Yeah, but don't you think if they lose their first playoff game that you've already taken an even bigger step? And it seems like, I mean, first of all,
He might have lost the locker room, man.
Yeah.
And you might be right. Like, you might have to take a step back to go forward with someone else other than Ryan Day.
well, but who knows if it's even a step back too? Because I mean, with a team like this, you know that there's somebody. There's one in the chamber right now. They're talking to somebody. I mean, if you think they're not talking to somebody,
Who do you bring in that's big enough, though?
I don't know who it is. But
Because,
this
like, other than
happens-
Herbs,
yeah.
like, where do you go?
This happens all the time in college football and also in the pros. Is that it's somebody comes out that you didn't think of or wasn't on anybody else's radar, and the team's been clocking them the entire time.
But
I don't know who it is.
You know, like,
But I'm telling you, if Ohio State has somebody, they're looking at this next game and they're going, all right, you got to win this.
yeah,
If you don't win this, we're pulling the trigger
'Cause-
on it because we can't keep doing this.
because they're probably playing Tennessee.
Yeah.
You're probably playing Tennessee. Who
Well, and you lost to Michigan again. That's
Right.
such a huge deal to them,
4
dude.
4-0. I know it's bigger. It's bigger
It's-
than winning the national
Oh my
championship. It
gosh,
seems
it
like.
is huge there. It was basically the whole reason that Jim Harbaugh almost got fired from Michigan, even though he was winning 9 and 10 games every single season.
Right.
They hated the fact that he couldn't beat Urban Meyer. He
Yeah.
almost got fired over it.
If
but
it wasn't for COVID, he probably does get fired.
yes, but the fact was that they just said, "Nah, look, Jim's fine. Let's just keep him. Let's see what happens." Ended up winning a national title. But to that, I mean, I think Oregon fans pay a lot of attention to the Oregon-Washington rivalry, but it doesn't have S on Michigan, Ohio State.
Yeah, I mean that's
That win saved Sharon Moore's
yeah.
job.
Well, that and his recruit. He just got Bryce Underwood.
Yeah.
Who everyone compares to Cam Newton. And that's the one why I think that's why this is such a bad loss for them, but also for Ohio State, I don't with the way that Day recruits, you got to think he gets one. In fact, you would think he's going to go on a run.
I don't think
Or
he's a
or
very
you're
good
in
coach.
or you're in real deep trouble because if you take a step back and then Bryce Underwood comes in, if Bryce Underwood turns out to be what everyone thinks he can be, which is essentially Cam Newton, that's real bad for Ohio State. And I don't know that you want to become the team that lost 5 in a row
Yeah.
and 6 in a row. And I think that Ryan Day might give you the best chance to not lose 5 in a row. And I know that kind of sounds crazy.
Yeah. No, I know. There's two sides to it all, and that's the other. And I hear it. All right. Let's shift just slightly in the college football conversation, and let's shift over to the Heisman conversation because last night, what Ashton Genty did, I think, probably should wrap it up, but cooler heads don't prevail in this conversation a lot, so we'll discuss. That's coming up here on a Will Squared edition of the Sinner and the Saint right here on 1080 The Fan. But first, let's look at the scoreboard. All right, scoreboard from last night. Boise State won 21-7 against UNLV. Ashton Genty had 32 carries, 209 yards, and a touchdown, one of which being a 75-yard run. Army, which I watched this game and I loved it, beat Tulane for their first ever, because it was their first year in the American Athletic Conference title. And currently, you got old Iowa State up 7-3 on Arizona State, though Arizona State is threatening. They're within the 5 right now, just about to score about 3 minutes left in the first.
They've
quarter.
had some big plays there,
Yeah.
but it's all been through the pass. Well, Scatterboo had one big run, but other than that, it's all been with Levitt's arm.
And he just tried to throw it. I think it was a.
It was
I think
supposed
was
to be.
supposed to be? Yeah.
It was supposed to be a wildcat play, and
Yeah.
there was nothing there. And he started cutting back, and then Scatterboo was like, "I'm 20 yards deep. Can't have 3rd and goal from the 35. Chuck it."
There they go. Arizona State just scored.
Ooh, I'm behind you.
Yeah,
How did
that's
they
what
score?
streaming Does. A little quarterback sweeper.
Hey, guess what? That's the local kid.
Oh yeah.
Shout out Sam Levitt, man. That
There you
kid's
go.
a stud. Few like him can get that gold chain in his team photo.
More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. Will Darkins from the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player. Tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
This is the story of the one who
Darkins on 1080 The Fan.
No, Luke. I don't know where he is, but it's Will Squared here with you on a football Saturday conference championship weekend, getting you ready for Ducks Nittany Lions. It'll be right here on the Fan, kick at 5 o'clock. But wanted to shift over to another conversation of which the Ducks are somewhat related to, the Heisman Watch. Dylan Gabriel will most likely get an invite to New York because by the end of this, I would think he's the quarterback of the number one team in the country, barring a loss.
He maybe, I don't know. There's a weird Shador push right now, and there's a weird Ward push. Do you think they invite 5 or 6?
No. I think it's pretty much down to 2 at this point, and you
Yes.
got to invite a third. So
Yes,
you
but
invite Dylan Gabriel. He's been one of the most efficient quarterbacks in the country.
Even if he's not the third at the end of the voting.
well, he should be. I don't know all these other ones, and this kind of gets to my point. Sometimes we have these seasons in Heisman voting, and Luke and I have talked about this quite a bit, and it's weird, and which has put my idea out that I've put out there, and I've gotten some reaction to, which is just do the Heisman every other year. Just do it every other
It's
year,
like the
seriously.
Olympics.
Because some years it's just there's no one to really give it to. It's just kind of like, yeah, everybody was fine. There was nobody really that stood out. And we haven't really had that for a couple of years, I have to say. And it's no more exemplified by the fact that we have this discussion, which I think is ridiculous, that Travis Hunter is the favorite.
And he seems, according to betting odds, like it's done. He's won.
Okay. What's his team's record again?
They got 3 losses.
3 losses, is that
they
right?
lost to Nebraska, K-State, and Kansas.
Okay. And then I'm watching this. They are in the Big 12, right? And
They
then
are
they're
in the
not
Big
on
12.
TV right
They
now.
are not on TV right
The Big
now.
12 Conference Championship game, they're not playing in that.
They might be streaming it, maybe. I don't
Okay.
know.
Yeah, and so the comparison is to Charles Woodson, who I believe won in 97, who did pretty much the same thing, which is you play defensive back and you play a little bit of receiver. Though I will give Hunter more
He plays way more
credit.
receiver.
He played way more than Charles Woodson
Yeah.
did. The other allure of Charles Woodson was he returned punts, and he was really friggin' good at that too. I really don't believe you should be giving the best college football player of the year award to a 3-loss team. I think that's kind of stupid. And the last one that actually, I guess, had to deserve it because they just were like, we don't know who to give it to. Just give it to him. It was RG3. That was it, because he had one moment, which was he beat Oklahoma, and they
Yeah.
came back from, I think, like 20 or 25 points down to beat Oklahoma at Baylor. And if I go over this list, you'll probably start to think to yourself, like, oh, yeah, that I don't really remember much about these guys. Jaden Daniels last year.
Jaden Daniels. So the thing about Jaden Daniels that will always upset me is his biggest games are against his worst opponents.
Yeah.
There's no he was okay in some big games, and I understand that the LSU defense on that team was what really let him down. But he and Kelly stat padded because they
Yes.
knew they didn't have a team that would make the playoff. So how do you raise morale around, the college? Oh, well, we have a Heisman candidate.
Caleb Williams. I remember that season. I remember them going in the Pac-12 title game and him playing like complete garbage
He got
against
hurt.
Utah.
He got hurt. He pulled the
Great.
hamstring.
Hey, you a
Yeah.
Heisman winner? Friggin' fight through it. I'm sorry. It's the best college football player award of the season. If you're hurt, then get out and don't give it to him. He sucked. And then they played Tulane and lost.
Yeah, he was hurt.
Bryce Young. That was obviously this team's really good, and that's the quarterback, and he seems pretty good, so just give it to him.
Yeah.
Devonta Smith. COVID year.
That was weird year.
Yeah.
I mean, he made Mac Jones good. He did make Mac Jones good.
Yeah, and Mac Jones was really freaking good because of that. But there's a lot of seasons where this award is given out where I'm just kind of like, oh, that guy's all right. He doesn't seem really that good. The last really consensus dude was Joe Burrow, where it was just like, yes, he's better than everybody.
Yeah, Joe was awesome that
he knows
year.
what the F he's doing.
And then the year after, or year before, 2 years before, Lamar Jackson was awesome.
Lamar Jackson was insanely good.
awesome.
Derrick Henry was kind of, again, like, best team, best player. Marcus Mariota was well deserving. So is Jameis Winston and Johnny
When's the
Manziel.
last time there was a true moment? Like
And
a
that's
true
what I've talked
Heisman
about.
moment.
Yeah.
Like it's one of my first memories of sports, but I remember Reggie Bush, Fresno State.
Yeah.
That I remember, and it sticks out to me, and it was a big deal. Johnny Manziel beating Alabama at little old Texas A&M was a big deal, dude. Again, also, my generation, we claim Johnny.
Yeah.
Love Johnny. I was at the bar with the boys last night. I think we spent 30 minutes breaking down Johnny Manziel's Heisman season. Like, that's what we
It was
talked
great.
about. We love ourselves some Johnny Manziel. But, and maybe it's because I'm older. Like, is it because like I was, a middle school to high schooler for most of these? A couple of them I was even younger, where it's like, that sticks out to me. I remember that play specifically. I remember that game specifically, and I don't feel like that happens anymore. Like, when you look at Travis Hunter, if Travis Hunter truly does win this, what game sticks out to you?
None.
What game for Jaden Daniels sticks out to you?
None.
Georgia State, because I was pissed because he had 8 touchdowns in it, and they're like, look at this. Look at this. It's like, no.
Vancouver Ford text line, they were 1-10 2 years ago and are 8-3 this year. What kind of hot garbage take is that?
We're not attacking them for improving, but because your team goes 8-3 doesn't mean that you
lost
deserve
3
the
games.
Heisman.
Who cares? You're not the best player in the country. You lost 3 games. You lost 3 games in the crappiest, quote unquote, good conference. At least Jaden Daniels lost it in the SEC. Dude, you guys lost to Nebraska. Okay? Come on.
Yeah, they did.
Friggin' Mahomes Jr., you lost to that.
They did.
I'm
You
not
lost
on
to the entire state of Kansas.
I'm not on board with that. And the other part of this that I think is complete bull S is the fact that this is just getting all promoted by Deion Sanders. And that for whatever reason, the college football media atmosphere, the stratosphere of college football, has basically fallen for this guy's act. Who cares that they were 1-10 2 years ago? They brought better players in. Okay, that happens.
And he was the one able to do it.
Yeah, when you bring better players in by yelling a lot and giving them money and then wearing chains and then talking about the fact that you played for the Cowboys, I would expect you win more games. You probably should. If you have the Heisman winner and you lost 3 games in the worst Power 5 conference, I don't know how great a coach you are, actually. I'm starting to kind of question that now.
I would make the argument for me, I'd probably lean Genty. And my argument is a little bit different than yours with Hunter. I would make the argument that Shedeur is more important than Travis.
Yeah. Either that or just as.
If you take away Travis Hunter, is this team still 8-3? Probably, maybe 7-4.
Where are they going to make up for those 4 interceptions he had?
Right. If you take away Shedeur, your quarterback, who is probably the number 1 quarterback taken off the board, possibly the number 1 pick in the NFL draft this next year.
Yeah.
How many games do you win? Does the record completely flip? Because I kind of think it does.
Yeah.
Minimum. You go from 8-3 to 3-8. So why are we then giving someone the Heisman, aka you are the best player in college football, when he isn't even necessarily the best player on his team?
Yeah.
Not saying what he's doing isn't
questioned.
right,
Yeah.
and not saying what he's doing isn't impressive. It's just Ashton Genty is doing something right now, and I understand that it's in the Mountain West. Guys, he ran for almost 200 yards on Oregon.
Yeah.
Like every single team that has come across his way, he has ran over them. There's no stat padding either. His worst rushing game this year is Portland State, where they called the dogs off. He had 12 rushes and still had 120 some odd yards.
Yeah.
Like that's his worst game. And so to me, when you look at Boise State, is Boise State a playoff team without him? No. They're not even close. And now because of him, they might even get a bye into the second round.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's the most important player on his team. He is the best player in college football right now. Whether he gets Barry Sanders' record in the playoff game or not.
Yeah.
Whether it took him more games or not, it is impressive what he has done, and he has put his team literally on his back and carried them to postseason glory.
Yeah, I just this crap that I hate this narrative so much that people keep pointing back to the record change for Colorado. It's just like, yeah, they literally got a new team. So yeah, I kind of expected them to be better.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Am I unreasonable with that?
No,
That they
no.
were going to be better.
No.
They were 1-10. Now they're 8-3. They got rid of almost everybody on the team who sucked.
It's impressive.
They're in the worst Power 5 conference. They have a very easy schedule. Oh my gosh, they won 8 games.
To me, it's
Great.
impressive that he was able to win at Colorado. I don't know that we will see someone get this type of recruiting group in the way that Dion has anymore at like a Colorado or a Nebraska. Your old school powers, but that don't live in or aren't located in big time cities. Like USC will be a power forever because they're in LA, right? Like Miami will always have a shot at being a power because they're in Miami. Alabama, LSU, those types of schools where they're at and the amount of donors that they'll always have a shot. Where like Colorado, Nebraska, you better have a good coach in there. And I don't know that Dion's necessarily a good coach. He's a good recruiter, and he's a fairly decent leader of men because the kids are coming and they're buying in and they're playing for him and they're playing hard for him. And he has shown signs of improvement. Does it help that they're in the Big 12 now? Yeah.
And also just a note about Colorado and it's so hard to win there. And Mel Tucker was 12-5. All right. So he did it. And Mel Tucker turned out to be a scuzz.
Yeah.
Mike McIntyre almost got them to the Rose Bowl. All right. So shut up about Colorado being I'm sorry. I just
Most of my
they
life
lost
they've been
Mel
butt.
Tucker in a horrible situation because he left for money and then they spiraled. People forget about this crap. And this is what I hate so much about the funnel that is sports media. People put this narrative on a school and a team that like everything is so terrible and they were spiraling out of control and historically they're just so terrible and everything. And then Dion rode in there with a bag full of cash and a lack of understanding about clock management and they won 8 games. Dude, Mel Tucker was great there. Mike McIntyre almost got him to the Rose Bowl. They had a
The other
fringe
guys weren't, though.
Heisman candidate as their quarterback.
Who?
That what was that guy's name? Number 13.
The Hawaiian kid?
Yeah. And then
He
I think
wasn't a
Lindsey
Heisman.
too.
He was not a high.
He was fringe.
He
was
was
good.
not.
Anyway,
He got him to a Pac-12 championship,
yeah, I think people get
and they got housed by that UW team.
totally funneled into the moment. And they don't look back at history and think to themselves like, "Oh, wait a second, it really wasn't all that bad." It wasn't. You had 2 years, bro. You had 2 years of being bad at Colorado. Sorry. You should come over to Oregon State. It's not looking any better over here. Right? It's been bad. So, just, gosh. I'm feeling spicy today. What about you? Are you doing something important over there?
I was just responding to a text
Oh, nice.
on the Vancouver Ford text line.
Oh, cool. Yeah. All right. I'm settled down.
I'm getting into sports arguments.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, I enjoy it. I find it fun. Sometimes I'll just go on like Twitter, X, whatever, and I will just find sports arguments and then just insert myself in them.
Mike McIntyre, by the way, Pac-12 Coach of the Year in 2016. He also won the Walter Camp Coach of the Year. So
Hey, that was my
really,
first year of
just
college. Good
just
for him.
never ever has this team. They've just seen woes.
They were
forever.
bad.
They were
They've
so
had
bad
years
for
of
2
being
years.
bad.
They had
Are
2
you?
years of
You're
being
just
bad.
upset because you're bad.
I know.
Hey! Just know that
I
you.
know.
Just know, you're Pac-2 champion. Fly the banner.
Do you like it how they
Banners fly forever,
Do
Will.
you like it how they stormed the field?
Yeah.
My
Does it
wife,
feel good being the first Pac-12 champion to have a losing record?
my wife and I were watching that game, and they started storming the field, and she goes, "Oh, that's good." And I go, "I don't know about that. I wish they would quit storming the field." I think there should be a rule on that. It's like, unless you beat like a top 5 team, okay, top 10. If you beat a top 10 team, you can storm the field. I think, or your rival. I'll give you that.
Well, that's technically you just won a championship. You're not allowed to storm the field when you win a championship.
All right, you got me there.
Boom. That's right.
All right, Good versus Evil coming up next here on the Sinner and the Saint Will Squared edition, 1080 The Fan.
Auto accident? Worried about your deductible? Don't.
Of Hawaiian Restaurants, 808 on 1080 The Fan.
You've prepared to face this Peyton Manning-led offense more than 20 times in your coaching career. Is there one common thread that stands out to you over the years?
I guess Manning.
That's my favorite Bill Belichick.
I guess Manning.
I guess Manning. I don't know. All right, there was an intriguing story that came out of the publication Inside Carolina this past week saying the North Carolina Tar Heels football team have interviewed Bill Belichick for their head coaching job that opened up after dismissing Mac Brown. Now, this got even more interesting because apparently they had a follow-up interview with him yesterday. The school has also reportedly spoken to other candidates. Bill has never coached a college football team ever. Good idea or bad idea to hire him?
I think it's dumb, but I understand why Bill's doing it because part of the stipulation, it sounds like, is that Steve would be the head coach in waiting. So he'd go in, do it for 2 or 3 years, and then Steve would get to take over the program after he left. I don't know why you go from a 73-year-old being too old to a 72-year-old being just young enough. Maybe it's because like his girlfriend will be there so she can translate to the youth of America.
She is hot.
She is. She's 3 years younger than me. That's how big of an age difference there is.
How's it
I
make
am
you feel?
too old for Bill Belichick. Bill would not date me because I am too old for him and Leo.
You're not
So,
his type.
Apparently not. Apparently not. But I think it's dumb. I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. All right, I screwed up the clock, so we got to go to my favorite story of the week. And this one comes from New York. All right, here's your headline. New York woman blames Star Trek license plates for tens of thousands of dollars in accidental tickets.
Makes sense.
A Long Island retiree says she's getting traffic tickets from all over the country. And back in 2020, the Huntington resident surrendered her license plates, sold her car, and stopped driving. I don't have a car, blah, blah, blah. New York Department of Motor Vehicles says the novelty plates being used illegally on the roads is a matter of law enforcement. Nothing in the system connects this woman to her former plate. So basically, they're not really getting to the point how Star Trek gets in here. I really got to start reading these articles before I pick them.
You're just like, oh, Star Trek's sick.
Well, the point is that like I want to pick them just for the headline, and then Luke and I like read it, and then we both get surprised. That's kind of the fun
Figure
part
it
of
out
it.
as you go.
Yeah, it's like, oh, this will be fun. But this article doesn't get to the point, which that's just what I want. Damn it.
What does Star Trek have to do with this?
All right, I got another article here.
All right,
It's the same thing. A 76-year-old retiree from Huntington, New York is facing an unusual predicament due to her love of Star Trek. Despite having stopped driving in 2020 and surrendering her license plates, this woman, Beta Corey, continues to receive traffic tickets from across the United States. Her former custom license plate, which honored the USS Enterprise, NCC 1701, I guess that has a Star Trek reference.
Honor it. Did it honor it? Are we claiming that that's
Really?
honoring it, or is that really just you're a dork?
You sure about that? She receives tickets from various infractions, including speeding, running red lights, and parking violations. She even received a call from Ohio State Police Chief about a robbery involving a car with the same plates.
I'm honoring Steve Largent every time I wear his jersey. Are you, Will? Are you?
Not me.
Not. Stupid.
You know what I learned is that in Virginia, you don't have to pay for custom plates.
Oh.
Yeah.
Just give them to you?
Yeah, you just pick what you want, and they give them to you.
It's kind of dope.
So if you like drive around Virginia, just people have a bunch of wacky crap on their license
Big
plates.
William Hung fan? No, why does everyone keep asking that?
So good. All right. That was your Good versus Evil, brought to you by 808, the king of Hawaiian restaurants. Visit them at ate-oh-ate.com. Hour 2, let's get into a little bit of NFL talk, and we'll circle back to the Ducks and their big matchup with Penn State for the Big Ten title game. All that and more. Hour 2. Will Squared Edition. Sinner and Saint, 1080 The Fan.
sports.
Oh, this is so good.
The Final Frontier. These are the voices of the sinner and the saint.
Did you really think that after absolutely blowing your butt out in game one?
Did they blow their butt out?
Yes, they blew their collective butts out to try to get that win.
Their weekly mission to provide hot takes, medium takes, mild takes, to boldly go where no show has gone before.
Take me to Flavor Town.
Luke Anderson,
You're welcome. You're welcome, world.
Will Darkins,
I know what you're thinking. What will the butt test tell us that the nose test didn't?
the Sinner and the Saint Tailgate Show on 1080 The Fan, the
Odyssey.
map,
It's just turned into a gigantic Mexican.
and 1080thefan.com.
Hour 2 of the Sinner and the Saint right here on Portland Sports Leader 1080 The Fan. It's a Will Squared edition as Luke is missing. If you have information on his whereabouts, please, for the love of all that is holy, let us know. His family's concerned.
They miss him. They need to find him. Luke, come home.
They told me I had to read that on the paper, so I can
Maybe
take
they
it or
don't
leave it.
miss him.
I could take it or leave it.
They are neutral about him.
They said, look, if you find him, that's great. If not, don't worry about it.
Please
We
let
get
him,
it.
If you
It's
find
the holidays.
him, please let him know his dinner is cold. He's missed his last 2 dinners. It's cold.
Seems weird. We ran way over because I'm not really good at hosting. I try my best.
I think you do a good job.
I appreciate
have
you
fun.
saying that. I know.
have fun.
I know. And I know you have to say that because you probably had a conversation with Jeff the first time you did this. And he was like, look, just give him praise. He responds well
That's
to that.
that's never happened. I've never been told by anyone at this station how to treat anyone else.
Oh, really?
I just naturally try to treat people the way they want to be treated.
Did you ever get a warning about anyone?
That works at this station?
Yeah, like
Still?
you okay, so when you got hired, right? Like you met with Jeff and then you did the interview and then
Yeah, we did it on the phone.
Oh,
I was,
okay.
I was teaching a kindergarten class.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So then you had like your first day, right? Or like you had like an orientation period
Yep.
where they were like, hey, we want to bring you in and
Yep.
just take a look at the board and meet people.
Mhm.
Did Jeff ever like pull you aside and was like, hey, with him, just don't
No.
do this?
No.
Really?
No one's ever like warned me or anything. I know that I can be a little bit dense at times, but I think I can kind of figure it out. I also I have a rule where I just try and be as nice as possible, and
It's a good rule.
that usually works out well for me. And if I don't know who you are, because I'll be honest here too, I have no idea who half our salespeople are. No clue. I see them all the time, and I'm just like, bah, I got no shot.
Yeah.
And so the ones that I do know, if I see them, I say hi. And if I don't know them, I take my phone out and I open my weather app and I just pretend like I'm doing something on my phone.
Ooh, you go weather app, huh?
Well, that's kind of the joke, is like dudes at the bar go into their weather app, you know.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a joke.
That's your
like,
go-to, huh?
Like, oh, hey, there's some hots hanging out, and instead of going and talking to the hots, the dudes pull out the weather app. Or like Twitter. There's a lot of Twitter pullouts or Instagram pullouts that happens. And then like you get in the car and then your buddies are like, dude, she was totally looking at you. And you're like, I know, I messed it up, man. I didn't realize she was looking at me until it was too late. It's like, well, we can go back. Like, oh, no, dude, then it would look weird. Like, it's over. Night's done.
503-864-6326. That is Vancouver Ford text line. They treat you right before, during, and after the sale. Visit them at vancouverford.com. I actually want people to text in there. What is your go-to app to pull up on your phone to just like fake that you're busy and you just don't want to engage with whatever's going on? Because I think we all have this where like
Everyone's got their
either
Twitter.
yeah, like that's Twitter for you. For me, it's my email. If I pull my
Ooh.
email up, and it's not even to entertain myself.
Yeah.
It's not. It's just that if I have my email up and people see that, they just assume like, oh, he's got some work thing going on.
He's busy.
Yeah.
I should leave him alone.
Like Slack or email works really well because then there's just a lot of crap going on the screen. And I just kind of, take my finger and I'm kind of flipping and click into one email and then I like do the enlarge thing and I'm like, oh, well, that's interesting.
You're like, what's actually going on with that dude? Like, oh, that dude must be really busy. Wow. His email out.
He must be pretty important.
He must be a big deal. Yeah, I'll tell you what. That's a good one. I do
Yeah.
that as well sometimes.
Yeah.
Where, like,
It works.
it's like I don't know that it does, because when it's midnight and you're at the bar and you like have your email out,
Yeah.
they're either thinking like, wow, that person's really important, or they're thinking, what is that loser doing?
Yeah.
Why does he have
Why
his
did you come to the bar in the first place?
If you had to work at midnight, why do you have your email out?
Are you okay?
What is going on here?
All right, let's reset this thing so we can get partially back on the clock. NFL has an interesting slate of games, and the Thursday night game was probably one of the best I've seen in a very, very long time, and it told me everything I need to know about the team that now I am picking to win the Super Bowl. All that next here on a Will Squared edition of the Sinner and the Saints, 1080 The Fan. incredible Thursday night game that was highly anticipated for the fact that the Lions, who week in and week out, after Aiden Hutchinson got hurt, Mike Elanzalone, I always pronounce his name horribly, and a other massive slew of defensive players all got hurt, and they seem to be kind of limping their way through the season on the defensive front. That came to show itself in this game against the Packers, where a 34-31 victory was secured by Dan Lanning, just pulling his shorts down, taking them out, putting them on the table, and saying who's bigger, which was a final play, 4th and short, I believe it was, on the what looked to be the 35 heading in, and they convert to get the first down with about 40 seconds left, where the Packers did not have any timeouts. So it basically allowed them to kick a field goal and do so with 1 or 2 seconds left on the clock, icing the game. That, I got to tell you right there, is the kind of stuff that wins you Super Bowls.
It was one of the more ballsy calls
Yes.
I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Because I said, like, no one would have ripped on him for kicking the field goal there.
No. And in fact, that kind
whether
of
it
is,
went in or didn't,
Yeah.
whether the Packers went down the field or didn't. But there is something to be said about if you play the game with your foot as far down on the gas as possible, I got to give you kudos for never backing away from it, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, too, another big part of this was that, you know, how do I say this? Let me take you inside the game here. There's another whole layer to this that I thought was very interesting, which is Campbell was most likely looking at this scenario and looking at his roster. And this is the reason I mentioned the depleted defense at the beginning, was he looked at this and said, look, I can put this defense out there that have been playing well above their weight tonight to try to stop the Packers, who can be dangerous downfield and have shown to be dangerous downfield during this season. And the Packers could get themselves in field goal range, and we get a tie game going. If we get a tie game going, I have to keep these dudes out here longer. And at the rate of injuries that are happening to my team and the point in the season that we are at right now, I don't know if I want to risk that. So ultimately, he wasn't going to lose either way. Well, I mean, he technically could have lost, but my point being is you're 11-1 now. Even if you're 10-2, it doesn't matter. Or sorry, if you're 11-2, it doesn't matter. You're getting in the playoffs anyway. You're going to clinch your spot in there. And a loss on a season that only saw one weird loss early on doesn't mean all that much to a team that's trying to get some rest. They're going to get that extra rest getting this early game and heading into the next weekend. But to me, it was just a like 3D layer chess move where it was like, yeah, that was really ballsy of him to do, but it was really frigging smart because he didn't want that game to go any longer. Well, it was basically like, look, I don't want to, if they tie this thing, that's bad. Now we got to play overtime, and now I got to run these guys even more. If they score, then I lose, whatever, but I'm going for the win.
I also think that, one, he trusts the O-line that he's built to get him that yard. And, I mean, like, he went out and he specifically picked the 2 running backs that they have. And so he trusts, you know, whichever one they were going to put out there, he was going to trust. He's shown in that game, he went for it on 4th and 1 from his own side of the field. That led to Green Bay getting the lead. He doesn't care.
5 times they went for it on 4th.
But
converted 4.
The thing that I think
insane.
Is probably the most important is he understands home field advantage. And there is no team where home field advantage is more important than Detroit because you get to play in a climate-controlled dome. I think that Jared Goff's game needs to be either in warmer weather or in a dome. The reason that he has looked so good this year, now I'm not saying that the only reason he's good is because of the amount of dome and warm weather games he's played, but correct me if I'm wrong, his only outdoor games, it's like Green Bay, Chicago, and there's one other. Like total on the year. They're not playing outdoors much, or when they did, they were playing in a warmer area. they don't want to play in Philly in the end of January.
Yeah.
They want to play in Detroit. It allows them to do everything that they want to do and can do. They need home field advantage more than anyone else.
Yeah.
And so they're going to do everything they can to achieve that.
Yeah. No, that's a really good point too. But anyway, I just thought, I mean, that was one of the best Thursday night games I've seen in longer than I can remember. Usually they're pretty bad. This was just fantastic. It had everything. Two other games of interest, really two only other games of interest on the weekend. You could tell me if I'm off on this, are in the NFC West and then our Sunday night game in the AFC West. So first of all, the Seahawks, for some reason, I guess I know the reason, the conference just sucks, or the division sucks.
Not the worst division.
They have a 1-game lead in the NFC West. And they're going to play a Cardinals team that they historically, and I mean historically like this season and last season, have beat. And the Hawks are on a 3-game winning streak. And, you know, this really couldn't have gone any better for a first-year head coach in Mike Macdonald. Now, he had a lot of the structure from Pete Carroll still in place. That was a good football team. It was, because Geno Smith's a good quarterback. The offensive line needs some help. You still have Metcalf, or DK Metcalf. You still have Tyler Lockett. Yeah.
JSN's really good.
Yeah. You had a defense that's improving.
K9 can move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at this point, that game obviously is very important because I believe the Rams are going to play the Bills and they'll lose, my prediction. And if you get the Cardinals beating the Seahawks, then you only have a one-way tie, or you have a tie at the top of the division, which could, I guess, make it more interesting coming down the old chute there. What do you think about your Hawks?
I think that they are thin. And when everybody is healthy, they play extremely well and they win. See what Leonard Williams has been doing on that defensive line. See what Geno Smith was doing early on in the season. Geno Smith is fine. And the reason I say fine and not good is because whenever he turns the ball over, he seems to love to do it either inside of his own 20 or in the red zone when they're about to score. And I know not everything is necessarily his fault. The O-line has left a lot to be desired. Getting Abraham Lucas back has been huge at that right tackle position. He has solidified that spot. Looks like some of the younger offensive linemen are playing better at that center position. When you had Williams, he struggled a lot. At the guard positions, they seem to be improving a little bit with the younger players. But I think if you see an injury, the offense sputtered once DK got hurt and missed some time. The defense had issues once a lot of that defensive front, from Hall to Mafe to Williams to Murphy, they started missing time because of their injuries. This team has good players, but the depth just isn't there.
Yeah.
And so they have to be 100% healthy or as close as possible to it, or else they're going to falter. When you've seen them have their big losses, it's been because of this. Now, the nice thing is right now you're as healthy as you can be. So I think they win this game.
All right. How you like McDonald's so far?
I like the defense. Again, when everyone's healthy, they seem to do well. He's made some big moves. Like at that linebacking group, first of all, he got rid of all of your starting linebackers from the year previously, between Bobby Wagner and Brooks, both of whom were pretty good linebackers. You bring in 2 new guys. He spends half the year with them, realizes he doesn't like them, benches one for a rookie, and goes and makes a trade for Ernest Jones IV. So he's shown that he's not afraid to go make risky decisions if he thinks it's best. Went out and made sure he got Murphy in the draft. Murphy's huge, man. Byron Murphy is awesome. And he's been a big difference for this team. Do they still struggle stopping the run? Yeah. But they still got room to improve, and they still have time to build this team. I like the path they're on.
Yeah. I mean, you got to love it from the fact you have a first-year head coach who is a first-year head coach.
Mm-hmm. In his 30s.
Literally. Yep.
This
is his first year ever head coaching an NFL team, not his first time head coaching the Seahawks. So Yeah.
First time head coach, even in like never coached head coach in college.
Yeah. So, yeah, doing real good. The other one's the Sunday night game. That's Chargers Chiefs, and I hate watching Chiefs games now because I really just want somebody to beat the living crap out of them. But no one seems to be able to do that. Mostly because their defense is still really, really, really good, and the fact that offensively Patrick Mahomes just kind of understands when to turn it on, I guess. I've heard kind of some criticism of Matt Nagy and all this, and that basically like the offense has started to stall, and it can be pointed to. Whoa! Oh, sorry, I'm watching this. Oh, right, you're behind. Just keep watching. It's awesome.
Right now I see Jesse Palmer and Joe Tessitore.
No, just wait. It gets better.
Oh,
There's a lot that's
there's
better
a
than
lot
that.
of bouncing.
Yeah.
Dude, he's so awesome. We're talking about Cam Scatterbo for
Yeah.
you radio listeners.
Yeah, he had a
Ooh, nice little
what
run.
looked to be a little 50-yard game there.
Tom Fernelli is a college football expert,
Yeah.
and he works with Cover 3. And his explanation of Cam Scatterbo is he's like a bowling ball with knives.
Whoa.
Trying to tackle Cam
Damn.
Scatterbo is like trying to tackle a bowling ball with knives.
I like that.
And I think that might be amped. Like every single big run that he's had in this game, and he's had about 4 or 5. He's averaging 10 a carry right now. He just went over 100 yards in the first half. Also has a touchdown. There hasn't been one where he hasn't broken like 4 tackles.
Yeah.
He's awesome, man.
Yeah, he's pretty sweet. Yeah, but anyway, this watching the Chiefs is just bothersome to me now. And then now watching the Chargers also has been bothersome to me just because like they're getting used to Jim Harbaugh and they're not quite. I mean, look, they're
better than us.
Yeah, I mean they're a playoff team. I can't
Nobody.
I can't say a lot because they technically are a playoff team in a tough division.
They're good.
Yeah, they're good. But both of these teams are infuriating to watch because they just find interesting ways to lose or play below. And so I don't know, man. This is why I feel like the Lions are probably the Super Bowl favorites right now, though they are dealing with a lot of injuries on the defensive front. I just feel like they've consistently, through tough adversity, played well.
Yeah.
And the Chiefs have basically gotten their asses out of bad situations. They don't play well. They just kind of lean on a really great defense, and then they keep effing up, and then right at the end, something happens.
They're playing with fire.
Yeah,
they are playing with
yeah.
fire for sure. That being said, I think I lean Buffalo. Because Buffalo had the injury issues at the beginning of the year, and they're getting everyone back. Like Mike Milano's back, right? Like that's the quarterback of that defense. That's that middle linebacker. So the more and more that I look at Buffalo, and Josh Allen's not turning the ball over anymore, they have a run game. That offensive line road grades, and then Cook just runs behind him.
Yeah.
I love that how they're using Knox and Kincaid. Like you're leaving them on the line of scrimmage, so you're getting an extra 3 run gaps, but 4 actually. You're getting an extra 4 run gaps there. They block well, but then you can also use them in the passing game. They're matchup nightmares. They can go deep. They can go short. They can go medium. They can run all the routes. Like, I really like what Buffalo's doing. And if Kansas City falters once or twice more, you're telling me you're going to have to go through playoffs in January in Buffalo? Like, that's difficult.
Yeah, I can hear that. Yeah, and I guess it's just the Bills I don't trust. But, I mean, I should because they're playing great football right now.
Well, in the playoffs, they've showed how they've given you reasons not to trust them.
Especially at home, which is odd.
Yes.
Yeah.
Another ASU touchdown.
Yeah.
Ha 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 ha.
I know. I am rooting for him. I am. I still got that weird, like,
I want
root
all
for
the
the
new
Pac-12 teams. Yeah.
I want all the new teams and the new conferences to win.
Yeah.
I think it's funnier that way.
Well, you got your wish with Army, which, by the way, that's going to be an awesome service game. Army-Navy. Navy's 3 loss. Army's 1. Army could make it to a New Year's Day bowl game if they win.
That'd be so sick.
That would be frigging amazing. I would love that. I love to see when
If
the
it
service
wasn't for
academies do
Boise
well.
State, they're probably the power or the group of 5 team in.
Oh, I think the committee finds a way to not make that not happen.
No, I like Boise State's in.
Yeah.
But like, let's say Boise State had stumbled along the way, like they had lost to Hawaii, because that was a close game.
Yeah.
You think they're still in over Army?
I think they figure out how to get somebody else in some way, somehow.
Oh,
Like
no.
Memphis. They try to get Memphis in, perhaps.
No, Memphis, because Memphis lost to Navy.
Yeah. I don't know. That's a good.
I think it's Army.
I know. And this is the problem with the let's let one of them in.
They'd get boat raced.
Yeah.
They'd get smacked.
And
They
not
got
every
smacked
year
by
they're going to
Notre
be
Dame.
good.
No.
I fully expect Boise State to get completely manhandled.
I don't know. They
the
played
playoff.
Oregon well.
Yeah, I know, but you
It was
know,
also early in the year.
early in the season, and they're very one-dimensional. And the early in the season thing is a huge highlight there because they have film on them now.
Yeah.
And Boise State hasn't changed really. It's just they run the ball, and that's what they do.
He's that special, though.
Yeah.
He is that special.
Yeah. So, anywhoozy, let's jump back into some college football stuff coming up here next. You're listening to the Center and Saint on 1080 The Fan, Will Square Edition. But first, let's get a scoreboard. Old Scattaboo there just ran in for a touchdown, getting Arizona State a 24-10 lead over Iowa State. Just about 20 seconds or so left in the first half of play. That is the Big 12 title game.
First half cash.
What's that?
I had Arizona State in the first half.
Oh, you did?
-1.5, baby. Dubs up.
Dub. Man, I am really out of it. It's halftime over. It's halftime over in Miami of Ohio, the MAC championship. Ohio is up 21-3 on Miami of Ohio. It's the battle of the Ohio's.
Just like Chalamet predicted.
Shit, it is actually.
I know, dude. Dude knows ball. He's a ball knower.
Maybe I should follow Chalamet on Twitter now.
You think I should follow his picks? You think he gives
Do
out
it.
gambling takes?
Yeah. He should. Yeah, he should create a little line
He's so
on
funny.
one of those gambling apps. What do you think about that? More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. Will Darkins from the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, Fan's desktop player, or 1080thefan.com.
Is it time to beef up your teeth? Dr.
Dragons on 1080 The Fan.
How you feeling about the college football playoff right now? And as the rankings are listed, the fans text line, the Vancouver Ford text line is 503-864-6326. If things go as they're going right now in this Big 12 title game, Arizona State is going to get a friggin' spot in this thing. Arizona State.
Catch the fever, literally.
Yeah, really do, though.
They're warm.
They are warm. Look, there is a scenario where Alabama's going to get in here, and that aggravates the hell out of me.
I think they're in.
I know, and I guess
the more I've thought about it, and this sucks, because SMU has done everything that they were supposed to do.
Yeah.
And they did schedule a difficult out-of-conference game,
Mm-hmm.
and they competed with a very good BYU team and barely lost at the very beginning of the year. But if SMU loses today, they're going to put in Alabama. And that sucks and is wrong. And I'm anti.
Yeah, I guess we have to have room for Indiana. I don't know.
Levin, Indiana.
And then you got Georgia in there too. Georgia is a possibility. I don't know, man. It's all slightly disappointing. Just because of the fact that Tennessee, I guess will still get in, right? That's the part where I'm starting to kind of scratch my head a little bit, is that Alabama will get in as a 12, and you'll leave Miami out as a 2-loss.
I'm okay with it.
And then you'll also leave Ole Miss out, who's a 3-loss.
I'm okay with them leaving out Miami for Alabama. I'm not okay with them leaving SMU out for Alabama, because SMU would be in if if every single player got COVID and they didn't play this game. SMU would be in.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Let me ask you this. Is there anybody in this top 12 that you look at right now where you just say, I don't think they need to play another game at all? I know that they will lose, and I don't need to see this.
Indiana, probably.
Really?
Yeah.
Them over Boise State? You really do think Boise State's going to make it a competitive game in their playoff?
Well, I guess we don't know who Boise State is going to play necessarily yet.
Yeah.
If you told me it was Boise State versus Penn State, I bet you that's a closer game than you think.
All right, I'll give you that.
If it's Boise State versus Notre Dame, I bet you that's a closer game than you think. If it's Boise State versus Georgia, that might get rough.
Yeah.
If it's Boise State versus Oregon again, part 2, Electric Boogaloo, that might get rough. You know, I think, not to do the classic styles make fights, but they do, especially in football. And I think it just depends on who Boise State plays, where I think we saw what Indiana is.
Yeah.
Indiana is going to run into a buzzsaw. And right now it looks like it's Georgia. Georgia's going to smack them.
Well, that too. Like, if Georgia loses today, then you have 2 3-loss teams that are in this thing. Is that right?
Yeah, with Alabama, yeah. Well, if Clemson wins, Georgia loses, and
oh, right, because they won their conference. That's the part I do like about this whole thing. I like the win and you're in for your conference title, because I think that errs more on the whole NFL style of postseason play, which I love, which is that you can play in a completely crap division, and if you're guaranteed a spot, you get in, and that's okay because you won your division. Is it going to be stupid if the Seahawks make the playoffs and are a 6 or 7 loss team?
Seed, whatever.
I know, but it's like
there's a worse division.
Yeah, I just I don't know. I think that's the part of this where they purposefully did it like this to make it so that they could still get in these crappy big name brands that nobody outside of that state really cares about. I generally think that most people are really tired of Alabama, unless you are in Alabama.
I agree.
And I think they're done watching it, and they don't want to see it anymore, and that they want to see these new teams. They want to see these new schools come in and make noise and shake things up a little bit. I think that was the whole reason behind, there's air quotes for you, reason behind the 12-team playoff in the first place, was that they wanted to bring more parity into the game, and they wanted it so that it wouldn't be the same 4-team playoff every single time, that you could have some variety to it. Now, the real reason they did this was money. It's not really that difficult to understand, but if I'm still kind of looking at this from a sympathetic point of view, everybody gets a shot. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, the problem for me is who Alabama lost to.
Yeah, really.
Like, losing to Tennessee is fine. They are a playoff team. They are a good team. You are on the road. That's a tough game. I understand that one. You lost to Vanderbilt. They're a 7-win team. They're fine, but they beat you. And I get it. You were on the road, and it was after your Georgia game. They still beat you. And then you went and you played a very, very average Oklahoma team. An Oklahoma team that barely has a better offense than Michigan. And they smacked you.
24-3.
And they did it at the end of the year. That's where I have the problem. Because, like SMU, they lost at the beginning of the year. You can have a lot of different changes in your system. SMU specifically, they were going with a 2-quarterback system. One of those quarterbacks, Preston Stone, got hurt. They're now going with the other kid, and he's been lights out this year. Yeah. So, and I get it, man. I understand the argument of like, well, why are you complaining? Just win your football game. Shouldn't football competitors want to go out there and just win the football game? You're kind of sounding like a loser when you talk about it this way, because it should be about winning. Yes, but there should also be some fairness. And the fairness is you did everything possible to earn yourself a spot, but the difference is because you don't have the same love affair as another university, you might get left out, even though you've basically done everything that was asked of you.
Yeah.
And that's Bush.
Yeah. But you know what? I think I learned this too. It's not about fair.
I know, it's in August.
Yeah, it's not about fair. This is about money, and that's kind of it. I mean, and eventually, we won't really have to talk about this. Because they'll make the Super League. And then it'll be more NFL. They will make it division-based.
Because they'll have to make it division-based for the other sports. So that
they'll go division-based, and they'll do the same thing that the NFL does, and just say it's off your merit. It's off who you win the division, and then the head-to-heads, and that's it. And it's no more picking. So, anyway, football. All right, let's talk about what we're watching for in this Oregon-Penn State game coming up next and what to watch. You're listening to the Sinner and Saint Will Squared edition here, 1080 The Fan.
Your business needs a network
All right, this is it. The Oregon Ducks, they're in the Big Ten title game, taking on number 3, Penn State. Will Ordner, what are you looking for in this one?
In this one, I think it's going to be important how the Ducks handle Abdul Carter. He is the defensive end for Penn State. He is a game wrecker. Against Ohio State, he had multiple sacks. To be honest with you, I believe he had 2. Probably should have had 4. The amount of holding penalties that Ohio State got away with on him was absurd. So you should probably factor in another 2 or 3 holding penalties there. He was the main reason why the rest of Penn State's defense was able to play Ohio State, and Will Howard specifically, the way they were in that +1 run game, where they had someone accounting for the running back and accounting for Will Howard. Abdul Carter was just that good. Whenever they needed a stop, it seemed like he beat someone off the edge for a sack. You need Cornelius, you need Connerly to have a big game and to keep him away from Dylan Gabriel. If you can, I think this offense is going to be able to move the football much more efficiently than most people think, at least people on the East Coast think.
Looking at that Ducks offensive line, Penn State is ranked 2nd nationally in allowing rushing touchdowns. Just 5 they've allowed all season. Though on the flip side of that, Penn State's offense is not really the greatest thing ever, as they didn't even score a touchdown against their best opponent, that being Ohio State. So I don't know, man. This one's going to be interesting. I could see this either going a couple ways. One being Oregon blows them the F out, or Penn State hangs in there and we get a good one at the end. So it's going to be good, man.